Let me make sure. Okay, we are on the air. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the first episode of Dad, Dave, and the Elephant. And here we all are. So, since it's the first episode, let's take a time to introduce ourselves. So, we're going to start off with the dad. So, take it away.
Hey everybody, it's Tim the Dad here. Uh, you guys probably know us from Dad versus Daughter. Obviously, this is no daughter tonight. This is just Dad. So, looking forward to working with these guys. I've known them for several years. First time we've actually talked about doing this collaboration thing a while ago, and we're glad to finally be doing it. So, welcome.
All right, and myself, I am David Taylor from To the Table, gaming with family and friends. Known these guys for a long time. We all live within a few miles of each other, or hours actually, not miles. But I do some video stuff. I've been on a video hiatus for a little while. We're going to be coming back with some new stuff. So I've got a lot of stuff that's on the written side. I have a blog, and I have some contributors now that are adding to the channel. So we're kind of doing stuff in that realm, but we're going to be returning to video very soon. And Tim.
Hey everybody, Tim Norris here, aka Gray Elephant. You know me and my wife from Gray Elephant Gaming. We do live plays on videos of games that well, we enjoy typically, sometimes not. But my beautiful bride is not here with me right now, unfortunately, so it'll just be me. You unfortunately got to see just my ugly mug instead of her pretty face.
All right, so that's the three of us, and in our show, we've got a few things that we're going to do tonight. So we're going to kick it off with a little bit of a recap from the Origins Game Fair, which was about almost 2 weeks ago now. So that's the first like consumer convention of the year. Kicks it off. It's in Columbus, Ohio, and all three of us were there. So. Tim, why don't you share, Tim the Dad, share some of your thoughts, highlights of what you have for that.
This was actually my first Origins, so I was kind of going in not really knowing what to expect. I had always heard that it's more geared towards gaming, whereas Gen Con is geared more towards the commercialism. I did find it very refreshing to be able to walk down the aisles in the exhibit hall and not be wall-to-wall people. In fact, most of the time you walk through there and there might be a few other people next to you, but that'd be about it. The exhibit hall, is a lot smaller than what Gen Con is, probably maybe a fourth of what Gen Con size is. Mm-hmm. But then they had the gaming hall, which was right next to it. So that made it very convenient to walk back and forth between the two. Thought it was a very relaxed element. Was able to see a lot of people that I only see at cons. Such as you guys. Well, Dave, at least. I didn't actually meet up with Tim, but I saw a number of my publishing friends, and actually saw a bunch from my local game group there. But it was a good time. I was there from Thursday till Saturday afternoon. Never felt rushed. Felt like I saw everything. Felt like I was able to do pretty much everything I wanted to do. The one thing that I do kind of have a regret on is that I didn't actually get to demo as many games as I wanted to, or sit down and play a lot during after hours, and that was just basically logistics. But no, had a really good con. Looking forward to actually going back next year, and maybe next year Megan will be able to join me. What about you guys?
Okay, so this was my third Origins. I was there Friday and the Saturday. Actually, I roomed with Tim and then another guy, TJ, who came with Tim, and so I was up early Friday morning. I got up at 1 o'clock in the morning Central Time and drove there. So I was there for the full day on Friday. And I too like this convention. I like the feel and the pace of it. It is nice to be able to walk down the aisles, to be able to talk with people. It's not rush, and it's not slammed with people all over. Couple of observations that I had. I saw that lots of people were demoing games. The two booths that I saw lots of action at were Plan B games and then also the CMON booth. Those two seemed to be jumping the most out of the whole convention. And so to me, I thought that the Century Spice Road was probably the hit of the show. It did sell out, and we'll be talking about that game later on in the video cast. A couple other things that I noticed that were the big hits. Exit the Game from Cosmos. They were allocated every day. They had a certain number of copies, and they were gone within minutes of the doors opening. So that seemed to be quite popular, probably because it is nominated for the Kenner Spiel. A couple other games that I noticed that were like sellouts. This Belongs in a Museum from Rather Dashing Games. It sold out actually twice. They brought in some more. That was gone. That's a game that I think Tim Bresnan has been playing with his lunch group and stuff like that. So,
if you guys can see it, I'm holding it up here on camera.
Yep. So so that one, I got a chance to demo games this time, and which is normally I'm walking around checking out stuff, talking to people. But I sat down, played. I played Honshu. A little bit of that, and then I did get a chance to try some new upcoming games. Outpost Siberia from IDW, which I really enjoyed, and also I was over at the Haba booth and I checked out Rhino Hero Super Battles, so that was a good one too. Tim the Elephant, your thoughts on Origins?
Well, the main thing I enjoy about Origins as well, just like what you guys already pointed out, is that I call it a gamers convention. You get to actually have space to be able to sit down and play games. You can stand in aisles and talk to people without feeling rushed or pushed around, unlike a Gen Con where I feel like it's all pretty well business. You know, when I went to Origins, I made a goal of getting 50 hugs on camera, and I was able to accomplish that. I've got a lot of friends, counting you two guys. Unfortunately, Tim, Dad, you snubbed me. You're out there doing your thing. You got to make that up at Gen Con now.
I promise I will.
But yeah, that's my goal. Is usually I just like to go and see my friends. I only get to see them twice a year because Origins and Gen Con are the only two conventions that I typically make. Shout out to Dos Hermanos Burritos, which were phenomenal if you didn't try those. And typically on Friday, I got there at about 8 p.m. I just sat in the bar and drank all night and talked and loud. I'm not known for being loud at all. Didn't really get to play a whole lot of games on Saturday. Mainly just walked the dealer hall and just kept bumping into people. Did play Whistle Stop from Busy Air Games, which that was pretty fun. Played a Kickstarter game that we'll be doing feature that we'll talk about later. That'll be coming up on our channel called Legendary Creatures. And other than that, yeah, Origins was phenomenal. Had a blast.
All right. So basically anybody that's watching, if you haven't been to Origins, recommend that you at least go one time to check it out. But it's really, really an enjoyable convention. It's actually my favorite one to go to, just because of the whole atmosphere and the pacing and stuff. So it is really great. So anyways, let's transition now. We'll talk about some of the games that we've been playing, either just for fun with our own playing groups or getting ready for our shows and stuff like that. So Tim the Dad, what have you guys been playing?
All right, well, I'm going to talk about three of them. First up is, is that okay? Africana. Now, Dave, this is a game you've got. Have you had a chance to play this yet?
No, I have not. And when I was at BrezCon, we talked about wanting to play it, and it still has not happened yet. So yeah,
we've played this last few weeks in some of our longer settings. It's been a hit. If you like Ticket to Ride, I think you'll like this. It has very similar mechanics. The theme is really good. It's got some cutthroat aspects to it, which really fits in well with our group because we always have a tendency to like to stick it to the other guy. Mm-hmm. But no, this has been a good one. It's an older game, and it's a little harder to find. I actually found like one of the last remaining copies on Amazon when I was looking for it. So if you're interested in it, you might want to try to track that down. Next up that we've been playing, again on our longer nights, is Cargo Noir. Now this is a game, this is an older one. It's from Days of Wonder. And Africana is from Z-Man. But this is everything you would expect in a Days of Wonder game. It's got really cool components. This is I would almost say it's worker placement, but it's more of almost a bidding game. And this was very well received. You got set collection in it. You've got really good artwork. This has really been a lot of fun. We've played it several times now. The guys are looking forward to playing it again, so that's always a sign of a good game. And then the last game I want to talk about is a game that I got at Origins from Tasty Minstrel Games, and that is Okie Dokie. This is a very light card game, but my buddy Lance at Tasty Minstrel was telling me about it, and we did a video on it for our Origins preview. So if you want to actually see the game a little bit in action, you can check that out. But very light. We play this. We get about 3 games in over a lunch period. We win about 1 every 3 games, so it is challenging. The rules are very simple. The turns play really fast, so you might want to check that out. Okie Dokie.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. All right. So stuff we've been playing. Well, I have a gaming group that I play with. We usually play on Friday nights, sometimes on Mondays. But stuff that we've been playing. Played a game called Edo. It's an older game from Queen, and it's like an action selection game. It's a programming game. You program actions and you assign workers to them to activate a certain number of times, and then you're also trying to put people on the board for area control. It's for a Queen game. It's actually kind of a thinky, crunchy one, and so I ordered my own copy. We played it, and then it's actually on clearance for Miniature Market for like $20. So that's even better. But we played Edo. Another game that we've been playing a lot of is Ethnos from CMON. It's right now my favorite game that's come out this year so far. Every time that we play it, we have a blast. Every time that we play it, we have a different configuration of tribes. It's just so much fun. And for people who are not familiar with Ethnos, the game is essentially like it's almost 2 parts in one. You have area control, where you're trying to have the majority of these discs on 6 different regions on a map, and then you're also trying to play these sets of cards that they call bands, and the more cards that you play out, the bigger the bands, the more points that you can score. And there's 12 different tribes that are in the game. You use 6 of them, so every time that you play, it's a different experience, and they all have different powers. So that's been a lot of fun. I did get a chance to play Tyrants of the Underdark with the new expansion deck. We played it at Origins while we were in the big bar on 2. That was the worst game that I have ever played of it, and that was just because I just went after the wrong types of cards. I only managed to score 30 points. Tim the Elephant had 109. It was insane, and so this one guy, TJ, he never played the game before. He's like, well, at least I wasn't last. I'm like, yeah, that's because it was me. But Tyrants of the Underdark is a deck building game that there's a board that's out that you're trying to deploy your different troops and spies, and you're vying for control of different areas of the Underdark in order to score points. And another way that you can score points is by promoting them to an inner circle. They become worth more points. You take them out. So it's essentially, if you were to take the Ascension deck building game, which is a very simple deck builder, a very simple area control, and you throw in a touch of, if you've ever played Valley of the Kings from AEG, where you're taking cards out of your deck to make them score more points, that's what Tyrants of the Underdark is. And the last game I got a chance to play the other night is Flatline. I did a solo playthrough for that. I am not a fan of real-time games. I just don't like the craziness of having the time and rushing to do stuff. But this one I actually like because you can plan things out. And then you just have like 1 minute where you're rushing to assign all your dice to try to do different things. Whereas like it's like a follow up to the game Fuse. Fuse drives me absolutely crazy because it's like 10 minutes and you have this timer and this lady's like, time is running out, you're gonna die. It's like, so that one.
That's the best part of Fuse.
I know, but it's like, so for me, Fuse, I don't particularly care for because I think I'm going to have a heart attack because my blood pressure just goes way up. But Flatline I actually like. So those are the ones that we've been playing. How about you, Tim the Elephant?
Hey, I got a funny story about Fuse first. We had some friends over on a game day, and they were asking, they were like, "Hey, what do you want to play Fuse?" And I knew the game. It's a 10-minute timer, right?
Right.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You can play it in like 5 minutes." So everybody made fun of me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's the 10-minute game you play in 5 minutes." And I said, "No." I said, "Because you're playing to lose. I'm playing to win." So that's like a running joke in my game group. Games we've been playing, which our video just went up today on the Legendary X-Men expansion, which is really fun. We played against the Dark Phoenix, which is one of my favorite storylines in the X-Men. I'm a humongous fan of the X-Men cartoons from the 90s. And that storyline was just beautiful, well done, full of action and emotion. And I think they did a great job incorporating that into Legendary. It was a blast. We're probably going to do another video on it. I am thinking we're going to go against Mojo because he was also one of my favorites. And I'd like to try to incorporate Longshot as one of the heroes into the next video. We also have Defenders of the Last Stand that we have been playing. Look for that one we did film it, whether or not we survived and defended the Last Stand, you will find out. But it is uploading onto YouTube right now as we speak. That is a long video. It's about an hour, 45 minutes. So it's a long game. Much like Defenders of the Realm, Defenders of the Last Stand is set more so in a post-apocalyptic kind of gunslinger world. Mad Max, think that. That's exactly what it's like. Whereas Defenders of the Realm is more of a fantasy with dragons and orcs and blah, blah, blah. And then plus, yes, the Ethnos and Tyrants of the Underdark. You stole my thunder on those. Yeah, we did. We played the Tyrants of the Underdark expansion, the Ghosts and the Undead, which I know that a lot of people saw my pictures that I posted up. Those cards, they were gloss and they did not match in color. I do know after talking with Peter from Gale Force 9 that was a small print run that they did. It will be corrected by the time they do the larger print run, so don't worry about that. But super fun game. I love that game so much. And the 2 new decks, I mean, make you discard cards. I don't really know essentially, what makes these so different compared to the other decks in particular. I just know I love the game, and it's nice to have more cards to play with. Mm-hmm. So that's what we've been up to.
All right. So the stuff that we've been playing. So another thing that we wanted to do here as a collaboration, kind of do a group thing, is do a group review. So I wanted to talk about Century Spice Road. This is the game that I mentioned to before. It was like probably the hit of Origins, and so I think we've all had a chance to play that. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. How do you want to start this? You want to start bad first, good first, hey, and then wrap it up? How you want to do it, man? Well, I got a lot to say on this game, man.
Okay. Well, you know what? Why don't Tim, the elephant? Why don't you kick it off then? Since you've got a lot to say about it, we'll switch it up. And let's hear what you have to say.
Well, now, Dad feels left out. You got to start with Dad. He's
okay. All right.
Look at him.
All right. Okay, Dad. Then all right.
You broke his heart, Dave.
Okay.
Well. Okay, right. So let me just begin by saying that I was actually taught the game by the designer, Emerson. So that was kind of a treat. And if you want to see more on that, we did an Origins preview video on that that's up on our channel. You can go check it out. I enjoyed the game. It's very easy. A lot of people compare it to Splendor. Yes and no. It's more of a constant upgrade. You're trying to upgrade your colored cubes in order to, or your different spices or whatever, to try to complete the victory point cards. And it's only to 6, so the game actually doesn't take that long to play. What, maybe 30 minutes as a 2-player, which is how I was playing it there. I thought the artwork was really nice, like that. The components that come with the game is nice. You can buy a separate player mat if you're into the mats. That looks really good as well. I don't really have a whole lot of negative to say about it. So
I'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, I'll let you be the naysayer on that. All
right. So let's see. Well, my thoughts. Century Spice Road. So I was interested in this game back when it was known as Caravan, and Z-Man was going to put it out, and for whatever reason, it now has become Century Spice Road. I was anticipating it. I actually had pre-ordered it because I wanted the mat. I thought the mat looked really, really good. But let me, that was the game does look very, very good. So let me just talk about the pros first. My pros in this. First of all, it is easy to teach. Tim, you said that it's you were taught by the designer. It is very, very easy to teach. I've taught my niece and nephews. First game that we played, they actually beat me. They figured out how to do stuff. It is kind of like Splendor, and they're actually good at Splendor too. The game does play fast. I've played the game 3 and 5 players. And 5-player game, we were done 35 minutes. So a little over half an hour, we were done with the game. So it moves at a pretty good pace. And the other thing is the artwork. Now, for me, I had a couple of cons that I wanted to talk about. First of all, the game is themeless. And you were talking about, like, yeah, you're supposed to be trading cubes, and you're like corrected yourself to say spices. And it really does not feel like you're trading spices. I just felt that the whole time it was very mechanical. You're trying to trade cubes in to convert them to other cubes. So the player mat makes the game have somewhat of a theme. But if you didn't have that out there, then it really just becomes like an exercise in just swapping cubes. So I thought it was themeless. And the other thing is I felt that there's a random luck of the draw. The cards that are coming out either into the market for you to draw into your hand, or the cards that are coming out into the victory point row. And as cards are coming out there, you could be trying to work towards something. You may have cubes left over. Something else comes up, and then just by chance, like, oh, I have the cubes, I can claim those. So you don't really feel like, it just feels like, oh, I'm lucky I happen to have those cubes. So it didn't really feel like you were working at stuff. So those were some of my cons. And then as we kind of talk about them, review a little bit more, I'll share my final thoughts. But Tim, the elephant.
Well, I'll start with my cons as well, because I believe you start with the negative and then you work into the positive, and then everybody thinks, oh, well, he must have loved the game, right? Is that how it works? No game's perfect. So let me just, start by saying that. I mean, there's a flaw in every game. If I had to say that there was negatives in this one, I would say that some of my issues with it are that half of the game goes away midway through the game. And what I mean by that is that you're collecting these cards, your exchange cards, okay? Once it hits a certain point in the game, that part of the game, it just goes away. Nobody tries to collect cards anymore. And what it then becomes is an exercise in maximizing your deck to be able to exchange the cubes, which is number 2 on my list. The game is essentially just nothing but exchanging colored cubes for different colored cubes. It would have been nice if they could have just changed the cubes into the actual shapes of this. I don't even know what these spices represent. I mean, I understand it's spelled out in the rule book, but nobody ever says that. I just need a yellow spice. I need a brown spice, I find that a little mundane. If they could have at least made the spices look a little different from one another, maybe I would have remembered tarragon and cinnamon, which I believe that is 2 of the spices. I looked it up. I
was really hoping they'd have like ginger and sporty and posh.
See, you're right there with me.
Those are the spices I would have collected.
Right.
See, yeah, because if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends, right?
Right.
Just like with Mystic Vale, you can't do anything once somebody has a better deck than you. So if, like Dave said, the better cards do come out, and you're able to collect those cards before your opponent, and you're able to create a much more streamlined deck than anybody else, well, that's going to be end game. There's really nothing you can do to stop them, whatever cube colors that they need to be able to collect the victory points. Much like Mystic Vale. And once again, then it just becomes an exercise in gaming, which I find absolutely boring. It is themeless. There is absolutely zero theme in this game. It could have been anything. Of course, they went with the most generic theme, which is Spice Trader. Come on, man. You're either a farmer or a spice trader. Can't we be something, man? Can't I be trying to exchange, parts with aliens on space or something? I mean, at least try to spice it up a little bit. Haha, get it? Yeah, ultimately, that's my negatives, okay? And I seem a little passionate about it, because I've been given a long time to think about this. I do think the positives are this. This is part one of a trilogy, I believe, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. All right. Given the fact that it's part one of a trilogy, we need to see exactly where this game is going to go. If I did own this game, I would hang on to it. And that is the only reason I would hang on to it, is just to see where exactly is this game going to be later on down the road when the other two sets do arrive. It plays fast. You are engaged the whole time. You're not going to wait too long on your turn. I don't think it plays as fast as Splendor. And the reason I don't is because of the exchange on the cards. Sometimes, every now and then, somebody's going to take a little bit longer on their turn, try and think, oh, God, which cubes do I want to exchange cube colors for? But it is quick. And that will keep everybody engaged. That'll keep everybody paying attention. Bottom line, these are the types of games that sell. Based upon what I have been told, based upon experience, these games flat out sell. Why? Because they play fast, they're not very expensive, and because it plays so fast, it is fun. You're going to get your money's worth because you're going to play it probably 10 to 12 times before you get sick of it and you decide to pass it along. I always value and rate a game based upon how many plays I get out of it before I decide to, send it on down the road. And if you can get 10 to 12 plays, you're at only about, what, $2 a play? That's
right.
pretty darn good in today's market. So,
yep.
Yeah, those are my positives.
All right.
Yeah, let me jump in there. I agree with what you guys are saying. There is no theme, and I think sometimes that's okay, especially when you're trying to use this as a gateway game. And I definitely think this is a gateway game. You get new gamers involved. I've used Splendor that way. In fact, I've even had my wife play Splendor, and she refuses to play almost any other game. But she kind of enjoyed Splendor. She would probably enjoy this one. So I see that as a positive. But I know exactly what you're saying, Tim, on your other points. So just wanted to chime in and say that I do agree with that.
And I agree exactly with you.
I agreed with Tim.
We can go to bed.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
that is one.
Show. Oh, that is one other thing that I do. I also agree with it. It is a very good gateway game. And Tim, you did make a good point in terms of even the MSRP on this one is $40. You get the components. The cards are nice. They're big tarot-sized cards, and you have those little cups that you get to put all the cubes in and stuff like that. So you do get a nice a nice package for when you do purchase the game. So
well, speaking of that, the thing about it is in today's market, games that come with nice components are a dime a dozen. So I expect that anymore. In fact, when I see a game like Ethnos, which is a phenomenal game, and it came with, in my opinion, shoddy components, it's very disappointing. So, Spice Road, being the fact that Plan B kicked off, their company with this game, I think was a very smart decision. And I think they did it right. The only biggest complaint I'd have is they should have just changed the cubes to actual shapes of the spices.
All right, Tim, the dad. Do you have any more thoughts on Century? Any closing thoughts?
No, like I said, I see this as a pretty good gateway game. The fact that there's no text that you got to worry about reading, I think helps streamline the gameplay. It does play fast, so it's easy to get people, I think, engaged in it. And sometimes your turns are just bam bam. Especially one of the mechanics we didn't talk about is you spend a turn just basically taking all your played cards back into your hand, and that's it. And then it goes on to the next player. So there really shouldn't be a lot of AP people or AP issues here. Turns are going real fast. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Well, for me, I've got a couple things. I will agree that the game is a great gateway game. It is very good for a beginner. But for somebody who's been gaming a while, I found the game to be just a mediocre game. And after a while, I just became bored with it. I had pre-ordered the game, got it ahead of Origins. I ordered it directly from Plan B. I have since parted with the game. I still have a copy in my gaming group if I wish to play it, but it'll probably be seldom if I do play it. So I didn't really feel I needed to keep it in my collection. One thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is probably, I feel that this right now, it's sold out everywhere. Certainly this game is a victim of the hype train. A lot of people have been talking about it. Certain reviewers have been raving about it. But and there's a lot of people that have said, oh, it's a Splendor killer. Well, here's my prediction. I think it's Gen Con. There's going to be Cities of Splendor coming out, which is the Splendor expansion. So now they're going to say, well, Cities of Splendor kills Century Spice Road. And that's just what I'm going to think was what's going to happen. And then, in all honesty, the way things that most people are going through games and cycling through stuff, in a couple months, we're not going to hear about either one of those. So for me, I just found that the game was just, it looks great, but I just kind of felt it mediocre. And for somebody who's wanting more in games, that's like a lot of stuff that I like to play, I didn't feel I needed to keep it. Tim?
Now, I do have one other thing to jump in on that. Megan is a terror when it comes to Splendor. I mean, she kicks my butt, 5 ways to Sunday. This would be a game, if we do feature it on our channel, I'm going to say right now, she'll win.
Okay. Tim the Elephant.
When you was talking about Splendor Killer, all I could think about was Video Killed the Radio Star. Remember that song?
Right, yeah.
Video killed the radio star. Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, everybody always says, oh, this beats this game, this beats that game. But you're absolutely right. Splendor's going to come out with an expansion, and that's going to do something a little bit more than what we're used to out of it. So then the Spice Road will have its second in the series pops out. Then, of course, it beats Splendor, blah, blah, blah. This is not a Splendor game. I don't even know why it's being compared to that, but, whatever. Yeah, my opinions are standalone simply based upon what I think of Spice Road, not necessarily compared to Splendor in general. Yeah, I can see some comparisons, but I mean, you can make comparisons in a lot of games, I guess, like that. It's not a Splendor killer, I'll tell you that straight up. I mean, I think that this one can be a little bit more cumbersome to play because with at least Splendor, all you're looking at is just, hey, I need X amount of, black or blue gems to be able to get this card, where the other one you're having to exchange to be able to get those. So I don't agree with that at all. But my final thoughts on this game is that I really do think it's obviously taken off. It's going to do well, and I expect it's going to continue to do very well. I don't know necessarily in the long run how well it's going to hold up, but I am excited to kind of see what the second and the third expansion for this game will bring to it, and possibly that will change my opinion on it. If I owned it, I would hang on to it. If I was somebody that dealt with a lot of, like what Tim or Dad brought up with Gateway Gamers in my group and stuff, I would definitely have it in my collection for that. So I think this game does way more good, positive things than it does negative, even though it does seem like I'm coming down on it. But that's just me.
All right. So anyways, that's our thoughts on Century Spice Road. And as we're going to bring this broadcast we're winding down here. We're going to talk about some things real quick that are going to be coming up on each of our channels. So Tim the Dad, what have you got coming up on your stuff?
Well, a week from today, I think it is a week from today, is the 4th of July. So those of you that watch Dad versus Daughter know we like to get into our themes. So this coming week's show will be Timeline Americana, to kind of go with that 4th of July feel. We also have another small game coming up from Mayday Games called Nerdy Inventions. And then we also have the Reiner Knizia Classic, Lost Cities. So that'll be our next 3 shows that we have.
All right. For me, let's see. Video-wise, I'm going to be doing a solo play, at least to show off the Goonies adventure card game. So if you're interested in checking that one out, I'm actually going to do a solo play for that. It plays just like if you're playing with a group, except I won't have as many character abilities. Written posts, let's see. I've got different contributors on my team now, so I've got my friend Chris King. I know that he's working on some stuff for Guildhall. My friend Tim Gay, also known as Mr. Blood Rage, he's working on some stuff down there. I'm not really sure what he's doing. I send him a bunch of things. And then I also have this other girl, Mindy Basie, who joined the team. She's been contributing some different articles, and she's got some game reviews coming up. I could speak for myself. Some things coming up. Kerala from Cosmos, which is the tile laying game with the elephants. We're going to be talking about the DC deck building game, the Crisis expansion number 3, and then also the Rogues crossover pack, and then Photosynthesis, which is the big game that's going to be coming out at Gen Con from Blue Orange Games. So those are the things that are going to be coming up in the near future. And Tim the Elephant, what's coming up on your channel?
Goonies never die, David.
That's
Don't
true.
forget. Well, I think they'd never say die is what it is, right?
I think that is. I think, yeah, Goonies never say die.
They never say die.
Right.
So we just did upload the X-Men versus Dark Phoenix. We're probably going to do another one of those videos. We're going to either go up against Mojo or Onslaught. I haven't decided between which one. We used an all-female cast in our first video, so we're going to mix it up a little bit. I'm really thinking I want to go Mojo because I'd like to get Longshot in there. That was another one of my favorite storylines from X-Men. We're also going to do another playthrough of the Tyrants of the Underdark expansion to show you guys the new cards, the new decks, show you what they do, all that good stuff. And I want to kick Kermit's butt in that one. I don't lose at Tyrants. We have a couple of Kickstarters that are coming up, which I know in my channel I had previously stated that I won't be doing Kickstarters anymore. I had changed my opinion on that based upon a conversation that I had with Rob Dowry from White Wizard Games. I appreciate the conversation we had. Regardless, the point is we've got one coming up for Tasty Minstrel Games for Crusaders and another one for a game called Legendary Creatures, which I have already played and I do enjoy. And that's pretty much it, guys. So,
all right. Well, that's the show. Dad, Dave, and the Elephant.
Dad versus Dave and Tim.
Dad versus Dave and Tim, right?
Hey, but, that would be a great video.
Yeah, we'll have to do that sometime. We'll get together and actually film some games, 3 of us playing and stuff. But anyways, well, this is the end of our first episode. So I think we're going to be trying to do this, what do we say, like I think twice a month, something like that. We'll see how things go. But we wanted to get this one done so that we could spend some time for our viewers to kind of get to know each, like our different viewers to kind of get to know other contributors, and then also for us to spend time talking together. So anyways, we say our farewells. Tim the Dad will start off with you.
All right. See you guys.
All right. And thanks for watching, and thanks for putting up with me as driving this conversation. And we'll bring it all home with the Elephant.
Hasta la vista, baby. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. We'll see you. Bye-bye.